So, this isn't easy. And I know what I'm about to say is going to change how some of you see me. And honestly, it's already changed how I see myself. I've been sitting on this for weeks, and the weight of it, it's just crushing me. I need to get it out. I need to confess. I swallow hard, looking down briefly, then back up at the camera, my voice a little shaky. I cheated. There, I said it. It feels both freeing and terrifying at the same time. But it's not just that I cheated. It's who I cheated with and where it happened. I cheated with my boss at a party. I run a hand through my hair, a nervous gesture. Okay, let me try to explain. Not excuse, never excuse, but just tell you how it all unfolded.
I've been with Mark for 5 years. 5 years. He's the most stable, kind, loving person I've ever known. We have a home together, a cat, we talk about our future, kids, everything. Our relationship isn't perfect, no one's is, but it's good. It's comfortable. Sometimes, though, that comfort can start to feel a little too predictable, you know? It's like a warm, familiar blanket, but maybe I'd forgotten what it felt like to shiver from excitement. The spark isn't always fireworks, it's more of a steady glow. And maybe, deep down, without even realizing it, I was craving something else. Something exciting, something new, something that would just shake things up, even for a moment. Then came the annual company Christmas party. It was at this really swanky hotel ballroom, all glitter and fairy lights, with a live band playing cheesy pop covers and waiters circulating with trays of champagne. Everyone
Was dressed up to the nines. I wore this little black dress, a bit daring for me, but I felt pretty good in it, confident. Mark couldn't make it. He had an out-of-town work commitment that just couldn't be rescheduled, which, looking back, feels like a cruel twist of fate, almost like the universe setting the stage. So I went alone.
At first, it was exactly what you'd expect. Small talk, a lot of forced laughter, colleagues getting a bit too tipsy on the open bar. I had a few Prosecco's myself, maybe 4 or 5 over the course of an hour or so, just enough to loosen me up, to make the edges of my usual self a little fuzzy. And then I saw him, David, my boss. David is handsome, in a very corporate, polished sort of way. He's intelligent, driven, always impeccably dressed in custom suits. I'd always respected him professionally, of course. He's a great leader, fair, firm, but I'd never really looked at him that way before, beyond the confines of our professional interaction. He's older than me, maybe 10 or 12 years, and he's married, with kids, a whole life completely separate from the office. It was always strictly professional. Until that night. We started talking, just casual at first, about work, the party, how ridiculous Kevin from accounting was being, typical office banter. But then it shifted. He wasn't just making small talk. He was actually listening to me, really engaging, asking questions about my life outside of work, my interests. He made me laugh, not just with polite chuckles, but genuine belly laughs that surprised me. He complimented my dress, and it wasn't just a throwaway comment. It felt intimate, like he actually noticed me, not just his employee in a party dress. The alcohol definitely played a part, dissolving the boundaries I usually held. My inhibitions were slowly melting away, glass by glass. I started noticing little things about him I hadn't before. The way his eyes crinkled at the corners when he smiled, a slight dimple I'd never seen. The subtle scent of his expensive cologne, which wasn't overpowering but lingered. There was a pull, an undeniable current that
Tea started to flow between us. We ended up on the periphery of the main crowd, just talking, leaning closer and closer as the noise of the party swelled around us. The music was loud, the room was warm, and the air was thick with possibility, with an unspoken tension that felt both terrifying and utterly captivating.
And then he touched my arm. Just a light touch, his fingers brushing my bare skin as he emphasized a point, but it sent a sharp, electric shiver down my spine. And I didn't pull away. I leaned into it, almost imperceptibly. My mind was screaming, "Stop! What are you doing?" But my body felt alive in a way it hadn't in ages. The next thing I knew, we were making excuses, Something about needing some fresh air, needing to escape the crowd, and we were slipping out of the ballroom, down a quiet, deserted corridor, the echoing sounds of the party fading behind us. My heart was absolutely pounding in my chest, a frantic drumbeat against my ribs. This wasn't right. This was so wrong. Every alarm bell in my head was clanging, but every fiber of my being was screaming for it, for the thrill, for the forbidden. It felt like I was starring in my own secret, dangerous movie. The risk, the sheer audacity of it,
but as intoxicating. I could feel the blood rushing through my veins, my cheeks flushed, not just from the Prosecco, but from sheer adrenaline, from the dizzying sense of anticipation. We found a quiet corner, almost hidden, behind some towering decorative plants. The corridor was empty, dimly lit by sconces, casting long shadows, and then he kissed me. I closed my eyes for a second, reliving it, then opened them, looking haunted. Whispers, and I kissed him back.
It wasn't soft or tentative. It was urgent, hungry. It was a release of all that built-up tension, a burst of something wild and reckless. It was everything Mark and I hadn't been in a long time. The unfamiliarity, the intensity, the raw desire. It was a complete surrender to the moment, to the electric current that had been building between us. My hands went to his hair, pulling him closer, his to my waist, holding me tight. It was a kiss that stole my breath, a reckless, thrilling, and utterly, absolutely wrong kiss. For those few minutes, I didn't think about Mark. I didn't think about his wife, his kids. I didn't think about the consequences that would inevitably come crashing down. All I thought about was the feel of his lips, the taste of him, the pure, unadulterated rush of doing something so incredibly forbidden. It was exhilarating, a wild, dangerous high. I felt desired, seen, consumed, in a way that felt entirely new and terrifyingly pow.
Our fool. We pulled apart, both of us breathless, exhales our eyes wide and darting. There was a shared glance, a silent acknowledgement of what had just happened. A secret, a betrayal, a complicity. Pause. We smoothed down our clothes, adjusted ourselves, and with one last look, a sort of conspiratorial half-smile that felt like a punch to my gut even then, we walked back into the party as if nothing had happened, as if we hadn't just shattered a fundamental rule of my life.
The thrill lasted for about 5 minutes after I got back into the main ballroom. I felt powerful, untouchable, like I knew a secret no one else did. I saw David across the room, and he caught my eye, a quick, almost imperceptible nod. My heart fluttered again, but this time it was mingled with a sudden, sharp pang of dread. And then the high started to crash, hard. I got home later that night, the taxi ride a blur of shame and disgust. My head was pounding, but it was nothing compared to the turmoil in my heart. I walked into my quiet house, and the first thing I saw was a photo of Mark and me on the mantelpiece, smiling, happy, our arms around each other. And the guilt. It hit me like a physical blow, a cold, heavy stone in my stomach dragging me down. I spent the whole night tossing and turning. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw David's face, felt his lips on mine.
Be the heat of the moment. And then I'd see Mark's face, so trusting, so kind, looking at me with unconditional love. The contrast was agonizing, a torment.
The next morning, I woke up feeling absolutely vile. The physical hangover was nothing compared to the emotional wreckage. Mark called, cheerful, asking about the party, telling me he missed me and couldn't wait to see me. And I had to lie. I had to swallow the lump in my throat, force a smile into my voice, and pretend everything was fine. Every word I said felt like a fresh cut, a deeper lie. I couldn't look him in the eye properly on FaceTime, my gaze constantly darting away. I felt like a fraud, a terrible, horrible person, tainted by my own actions. Going into work on Monday was an absolute nightmare. My stomach was in knots the entire drive, a ball of dread. I kept replaying the entire night, every touch, every word, every stolen moment. I saw David in the hallway, and it was like an invisible wall went up between us. We exchanged polite greetings, professional smiles, but our eyes
I'd something more. A flicker of recognition, a shared secret, and for me, a burning shame that radiated through my entire being. Every meeting with him, every email, every casual interaction felt tainted, dirty. I felt like I was carrying a huge, visible scarlet letter, even though no one else knew. The weight of it was suffocating.
The guilt hasn't left me since. It's a constant companion. It sits on my chest when I try to sleep, suffocating me, preventing true rest. It whispers in my ear when Mark tells me he loves me, mocking my hypocrisy. It's poisoning everything good in my life, stealing my joy, making me question who I am. I look at Mark now, and all I see is the person I betrayed, the trust I broke, the future I jeopardized. He deserves so much better than this lie, this hollow existence with someone who is hiding such a profound secret. He deserves the truth, and I can't live with myself knowing I'm keeping this from him any longer. The silence has become unbearable, a louder condemnation than any words could be. So, here I am, confessing to all of you, but mostly confessing to myself and preparing to confess to him. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if he'll ever forgive me. I don't know if our relationship can survive this gaping
wound. I honestly don't know what I'm going to do, or how I'm going to pick up the pieces of my life after this. But I know I can't keep this secret anymore. It's destroying me from the inside out. I have to face the consequences, no matter how terrifying they are. Crying. If anyone out there has been through something similar, if you have any advice, I don't know. Pause. Just thank you for listening. This is harder than I thought. I wipe a tear, sniffle, and try to compose myself, looking vulnerable but resolute. Thanks. The video ends.